An Associate Professor of Chemical Engineering at University of Nottingham. My expertise is in digital manufacturing, mainly in the food and drink. Today we've got Peter. Would you like to say hello, Pete?
Morning, everyone. Pete Green from the University of Liverpool, also a co-investigator, background engineering, and started to do AI stuff, basically.
That's very clever. And finally over to Fiona, who will then carry on with a bit on the 2050 report.
Great, thanks Nick. Hi all, Fiona Charnley. I'm a Professor of Circular Innovation at the University of Exeter in the Business School, background in design and manufacture, and particularly interested in how digital technology can support the transition to alternative business models, alternative futures for sustainability, net zero and circular economy. And some of that I'll be talking a little bit about this morning. So the first session, we're going to introduce our Digital Manufacturing 2050 report, which is going to be launched later on this year. So we're just at the end of that, so I'm going to be sharing some initial insights with you. So I'll just share my screen because I've got a few slides. Where are we? There we go, so you should be able to see that now. So as we all know, digital technology is becoming embedded throughout manufacturing and wider society. And so it's a critical and growing part, has a critical and growing part to play in addressing manufacturing challenges of the future and also ensuring that we deliver a sustainable and resilient future more broadly. And so this digital manufacturing report is the result of a programme of horizon scanning activities that's been led by the Connected Everything Network over the last couple of years, very much in collaboration with our industrial practitioners and policymakers. And the report aims to capture new knowledge on the challenges and opportunities for digital manufacturing practice and policy, looking forward over the next 10, 20 and 30 years' time. And we also aim to identify unexplored relationships between sectors and disciplines to enable new collaborations that would not normally exist. So a bit of background to the report. We launched our horizon scanning activities 2 years ago with a workshop that we held at the Digital Manufacturing Week conference. And this was also supplemented by an article in the Manufacturing magazine, the Manufacturer magazine, and a wider survey of manufacturing practitioners to help us identify the broad challenges and opportunities associated with digital manufacturing now and also in the future. And so through the analysis of the results of the workshop and the survey, and through consultation with our executive management group, we identified 4 key themes on which to focus the report and conduct further research and consultation in. So between May 2021 and January 2022, we held 4 roundtable events, each one focusing on one of the 4 key themes, with associated experts from across academia, government and industry. Typically, each roundtable involved between 10 and 15 experts. And the results of this work were then written up and reviewed by a group of expert stakeholders before being finalised in the report. And the report has now been sent to the publishers, and so we hope to release it, as I said, before the end of the year. So this is kind of a timeline of the activities that we undertook. And so a bit more about the roundtables themselves. So the 4 themes of the report and subsequent roundtables covered 4 topics. So first of all, digital support for achieving net zero manufacturing by 2050. So as we know, while there are many different routes to achieving net zero, digital technologies are becoming a central part of all modern economies, and this theme therefore aimed to understand how digital technologies can help manufacturers to achieve net zero by 2050 and what policy initiatives are required to support this transition. So that was the focus of the first theme. The second theme, digitisation and the manufacturing workforce of the future. So as the adoption of digitisation accelerates, the impact on the manufacturing workforce is currently quite uncertain. And this theme aimed to understand the way that this will change the fundamental nature of work in the future and the way that we therefore design the technology and systems which will enable the future workforce to operate and deliver a safe, effective and productive workplace for the future. So that was the focus of the second roundtable. And then the third topic, Industrial Digital Technologies in 2050, looks at the fact that industrial digital technologies such as robotics, machine learning, and virtual reality underpin and enable digital manufacturing currently, and emerging industrial digital technologies are having a far-reaching implications for how we produce things, how we exchange information and interact across supply chains and with customers in the future. So this theme therefore aimed to identify both future uses of industrial digital technologies and emerging technologies. So looking at those technologies that offer exciting opportunities for manufacturers in the future to meet today's and tomorrow's challenges. And then finally, the fourth topic and roundtable focused on digitally enabled manufacturing resilience. So over the past 2 years, as we know, manufacturers have faced unprecedented disruption with the combination of the UK leaving the European Union, the global pandemic and the humanitarian disaster in Ukraine. So these, combined with soaring transport, energy and raw material costs, have resulted in significant disruptions. So this theme aimed to explore both how digitalisation can play a key role in making manufacturing systems more resilient, and also to identify what digitalisation poses, so the opportunities posed by digitalisation to future resilience, both within the UK and looking across global supply chains. So, as I mentioned, a total of 53 experts were engaged through the roundtable events, which resulted in significant insights. So, as you can imagine, bringing 15 experts from across academia, policy and industry together around a table to talk about the topics that they know best resulted in a huge diversity of data, and this was captured both through the transcription of the discussion held during the meeting, and also we used a mural board through which participants were encouraged to capture their ideas, examples, case studies and differing opinions. And the wealth of data from the roundtable discussions was then iteratively analysed to reveal a number of clusters, which were then developed into mind maps to portray the diverse detail of the data and insights gathered. So this research was undertaken by the team, but very much led by Ollie Fisher, who is on the call today, who worked tirelessly to pull together this wealth of qualitative information to provide the insights that are presented in the report. So you'll have to wait until later this year when the report is published to find out about the results and recommendations that we found and uncovered, but I will share with you some of the initial high-level insights and recommendations with you now. So under the theme of industrial digital technologies in 2050, the report demonstrates a number of future uses of digital technologies, including things like large-scale systems modelling, widespread customisation, the use of inexpensive AI and agile manufacturing lines. And some of the emerging technologies that were discussed included examples of embedded sensors, modular distributed factories, and AI-driven cybersecurity. So we had some fantastic conversations around what these different industrial digital technologies can offer manufacturing in the future. And this resulted in a number of recommendations for this theme, including the quantification of the value of digital solutions to manufacturers at the moment is largely unquantified, and one of the recommendations was this needs to be worked on in the future. Also the need to reduce digital manufacturing knowledge barriers and connect technology developers with manufacturers and with the rest of the value chain. So that was the first theme, sorry. The second theme, so insights from the investigation of digital technology and net zero uncovered 5 clear methods by which digital manufacturing can support the journey towards net zero manufacturing. And these were digitally enabled circular economy, design of the next generation of sustainable products, data-driven sustainable decision making, real-time data of supply chain emissions, and enabling new clean energy sources. I think our insights uncovered that there's a huge opportunity in the space of using digital technology to enable that transition towards a digitally enabled net zero future. However, at the moment, it's largely disconnected. We need key KPIs and metrics to measure our progress. And we also need to make sure that as we're developing this digital future, we are doing so very much in parallel with policy and legislation for net zero to enable the two different fields to work together. So recommendations from this theme included the need for effective legislation to enable net zero manufacturing, the need for guidance on using IDTs to measure and reduce CO2 emissions, and also the use of digital technologies to support not only manufacturing, but the societal shift towards net zero living, and to define kind of what net zero living might look like. So then the next theme, digitalisation and the manufacturing workforce of the future. So a synthesis of the data that emerged from this theme revealed new opportunities for the manufacturing workforce, including improving manufacturing transparency, aiding decision making in manufacturing, and reducing knowledge barriers and the formation of new manufacturing roles in the future. Experts also spoke of the need for new skills and capabilities to take advantage of industrial digital technologies in manufacturing, and the difficulty of attracting and retaining people with the right skills to make this future a reality. The report also explores the role of equality, diversity and inclusion within the manufacturing workforce of the future, and the need for a balanced approach to current and future workforce needs, particularly around if we are looking at this digital manufacturing future, what are the skills and capabilities that we are going to attract, and how do we not only attract those but retain those within the business, very much acknowledging that we need to build in those incentives and that lifelong training and learning into the workplace. And then finally, digital enabled manufacturing resilience. This theme explored both how digitisation can play a key role in making manufacturing systems more resilient. So, for example, enabling agile manufacturing, collaborative resilience, and enabling new resource streams to be captured. And also the theme identified what risks and challenges digitalisation poses to resilience. For example, understanding process manufacturing versus discrete manufacturing resilience requirements, looking at lack of trust in digital manufacturing, compliance with regulation, and also incorrect application of digital solutions and what that might result in. So experts from this roundtable provided fascinating insights into examples of resilience, adaptability and responsiveness of manufacturing, particularly in light of recent global disruptions to business as usual. And they made several recommendations to how resilience can be improved in the future, including the introduction of resilience-focused policy, funding to support the adoption of industrial digital technologies to support future resilience, and also the use of new materials and things like industrial symbiosis to reduce our reliance on critical raw materials and the global supply chain. So all of these insights were, as I mentioned, written up and then they were sent out to review. So we had a board of 10 reviewers and editors who worked hard to read the report and to interpret kind of the insights and the recommendations. And they then provided us with areas for improvement. So some of the areas that we improved in the report as a result of the stakeholder feedback were that we looked further into the future. So beyond the 3 to 5 years, the report now includes challenges and opportunities that expand to 10 years' time. Also, we would encouraged to think about how less qualified staff fit into the future manufacturing workforce. So that balance of skill and competency and capability across the diversity of roles that are expected in the future. We were also encouraged to think about new ways to measure our economy and our progress towards an alternative models and an alternative economy. and looking at identifying some issues that go against the standard flow of current digitalisation. So how can we improve that transition? The report concludes with a total of 27 recommendations that emerged from the Connected Everything roundtable discussions, which included things like encouraging researchers to quantify digital solution impact, supporting the design of sustainable products, providing financial incentives for manufacturers to decarbonise, and removing legislation preventing waste from being used as a viable alternative resource. So as you can see, the recommendations were quite broad and diverse. However, across the 4 themes, we were able to recognise 5 key recommendations that emerged really strongly and consistently across all of those 4 themes. And they were the need to connect digital technology developers to manufacturers. So greater support is needed, we identified, to connect manufacturing businesses with the wider innovation landscape. Secondly, the need to reduce digital manufacturing knowledge barriers. So as I mentioned earlier, the need to focus on how we attract new skills in digital manufacturing, how we look at solutions that are needed to accelerate and scale up these new digital technologies, not only within businesses, but across the whole value chain. The third recommendation is to consolidate digital manufacturing guidance. So a lot of the roundtables identified that there's a real disjointed landscape currently on guidance and legislation and policy surrounding how we point in the right direction to transition towards a more digitally joined up future. So looking at the guidance around that is a key. Then fourthly, supporting employee well-being during the transition was brought up again and again as a key element to enable a safe and resilient workforce of the future. And then finally, the transparency of value, the transparency of data across the value chain is seen as super important. So it's all very well having new industrial digital technologies to support manufacturing of the future, but also solutions across the value chain to aid that transparency of data, and the free flowing of data needs to accompany that technological development and innovation for us to be successful. So there are a few insights into the findings and the recommendations of the report. As I mentioned, we've now finished writing the report and it's been sent to the editing and printing team. And so we are hoping that we'll have a report published before the end of the year. However, we will be publishing a pre-print edition, and we've put the link to where that will be hosted on the Connected Everything website on this slide, but we will share that with you after today's event. And I just want to take this opportunity to give a huge thank you to everyone that's contributed time and expertise to this work. It involved many different sessions with experts and surveys, so a lot of data was connected and a lot of time was contributed. And then a huge thanks also to Ollie, who worked tirelessly to pull all of this information together and to put it into the reports, which hopefully you'll agree once you see it is a really important milestone in our transition towards a digital future for manufacturing.